From the Good Shepherd Auditorium in Inwood, New York City, welcome to Inwood Art Works On Air. It's where you meet the musicians, filmmakers, writers, theater makers, culture makers, and artists of all stripes who make their home here at what we call Upstate Manhattan. I'm your host, Aaron Sims, and today we welcome cultural curator and force of Uptown, Jeanine McAdam. Jeanine is a longtime Northern Manhattan resident that loves our community, and she channeled that love to co-creating and overseeing heightsites.com, a website and newsletter dedicated to sharing the wonderful artistic and cultural events happening in Washington Heights and Inwood. Heightsites covers cultural events river to river from 155th Street to the northern tip of Manhattan. We are thrilled to have her as a guest here. So I want to say thank you, Jeanine, for coming, and welcome to Inwood Art Works On Air. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, you and I both share the same belief and sing the same refrain to all the folks, I believe. Why travel downtown for arts and culture when there's so many interesting options here in our neighborhood?
I completely agree. Yeah.
And based our companies off of them, right?
Right.
You know, and I will say, and far too often, we overlook the people who champion artists and cultural institutions. And I personally feel it would be remiss not to include you for your dedicated support that you've given the Uptown arts and culture community through Heightsites. So thank you for and being recognized for that, for all you've done for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
bet.
so much.
You
yeah.
bet. So tell us all. Take us back. Why in God's name? We're talking like pre-7 years ago, would you want to create heightsites.com?
Well,
Herculean effort.
I am trained as a librarian. So I'm an organizer by nature, an organizer of information by nature. And so we, in our family, I was working as a librarian for many years, and we had some disability enter into our family, and I needed to scale back my career. And for a while, I was a short story writer. And I did that, gave me the flexibility that I needed to be an advocate for our disabled family member. And then the short story market started to go online, and I could write like a 3,000-word short story and make $500 on it. But it went online and all of that changed. So it was all for free. So then I thought, I want to learn WordPress. And then I thought, well, what can I do a WordPress site about? And I thought, there's all these great things happening in our community, and that's around the time that we met. And it was just like, someone's got to organize this and list it. And yeah, it's just been that's how it came about.
And you looked over her shoulder like, yeah, someone should do that.
Yeah.
And there's crickets.
Yes. And it was me.
you.
And Ruth Alinstein.
Yes.
Ruth Alinstein was with me for quite a long time. She's had some personal stuff come up, so she stepped back from Heightsites, but she's been a terrific help for many years with Heightsites. And it was interesting because, I went to people like Mike Fiddleston. I said, what do you think? And it was like, oh yeah, we need this. I spoke with Liz Ritter. We need this, and just kind of went forward from there. And we have the website, we have the newsletter, the twice weekly newsletter, and we have the Facebook group.
Right.
And that's the services that we provide.
Well, Lord knows the number of blogs, cultural calendars, and newsletters that are out there. Like you're saying, it gets so it's cluttered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to tell people, because of all that, that's exactly what you kind of said, is that I want to emphasize and underline and underscore this, that what makes Heightsites stand out is the 2 newsletters and support and focused on local arts orgs and artists.
Yes.
Like strictly.
And it's northern Manhattan. It's right. 155 north, right up to the end of the island here. Yep. And river to river. And it's local cultural institutions happening at local cultural locations.
Yeah.
And those locations can be, as you know, churches, parks,
yep.
There's just every place around the community. Our artists are so creative, and figuring out location. Like you do film on the side of the wall at Morris Jamel Mansion.
Yeah.
It's just really amazing what we do. And I just felt strongly like we need a place to capture all of that so that people can go to the newsletter, which is the primary resource that people use now, which is really interesting. Open it up and see what's going on.
Yeah, because it comes straight at you. Otherwise, you have to go to a website and scroll around, which some people do as well. So you have that as an option as well.
Yeah.
But having nothing like having it delivered right to your inbox, and that's why I call you affectionately a cultural curator, because it's like you're showing people, hey, this is not just an aggregator, which is also part of the job as the librarian, but finding that way of saying, okay, this is organized in a way that's palatable, that people can understand it. You're not overwhelmed by this list. It's there for you, and it's easily navigable, because it's something that has to be done for other people to respond, and that's the thing, is you want response.
Yeah, we want engagement, and we have a very big engagement. It was interesting. Before COVID, we had most of the engagement through the website, and the newsletter was, it had like a 37% open rate. During COVID, and you remember that point where there was everybody remembers it, March and April 2020. We were doing it once a week because you and other cultural institutions were quickly realigning and getting online. Yeah. And then we started listing the online, and we immediately went back to twice a week because the cultural institutions adjusted so quickly during that time. And there was enough to list. Yeah, you remember.
I'm having a little bit of PTSD from that time.
Yes.
I remember that those 2 months where the word pivot was used justly. I know people are tired of it now, but there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah.
You had to, or I know a lot of people just stopped. A lot of people just stopped and just said, we're going to wait this out. And they came on maybe like in November or something, or October. But it was a challenging time for us all, and that's a lot. And so people, so again, you're sending this out to people, then they can see, they can actually click on it and find the programming at their fingertips, at their click, instead of saying, well, I'm going to make plans to go see this at that. Now there's a little more of immediacy, right?
Right, they're clicking right over to that YouTube, and you've got the time scheduled that you're doing that live YouTube video. Yeah, and so what happened with the newsletter is the open rate went up to like 50%. During COVID, and then we started to, everything started to open back up, and I thought it would go back down, and it stayed there, and it keeps staying there. Yeah. I average around 50%, so I have all of these people who just keep looking at it and opening it and clicking through, and there's just this interest, this engagement.
Well, I have to say, the amount of care and effort you put into it, Comprehensive Weekly, is remarkable, and it wouldn't work if it was. I'm going to say this out loud. It wouldn't work if it was being produced by someone outside the community. So I mean, how have you kept it going? I mean, that's a great. I mean, I think. I mean, it's. Would you say it's become a personal mission of yours to keep it going?
It has.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's a personal mission. It has to be.
I just keep hanging in there with it. I just, I just think of all those people that are opening it, and it's Thursday night that it publishes, Sunday night that it's published, and I don't know. And people say to me, "That's so valuable. It's so appreciated." And we've sort of, part of my mission with it has kind of realigned since COVID too. At first, it was more geared toward giving the local businesses a place to advertise their services, reach our audience, reach a local and engaged audience. Since COVID, the local businesses have been realigning too with their services. So I have reworked Heights Sites as a place where young neurodiverse adults can gain skills and gain technical skils.
Well, I wanted to bring that up because it's a new development for you all.
It's a new development.
To me, it makes sense with your inclusive nature of aggregating the community, this groundswell of inclusiveness, because you've been working with neurodiverse young adults as part of your production team, and talk about the impact they're making on these new projects for you.
Well, I have a neurodiverse team of young adults rebuilding the website, which is fabulous. And they are just bringing up issues like language and studying all the languages spoken in this neighborhood, bringing up issues of access, bringing up just, how to reach all of the audiences that I need to reach with the website and with the newsletter. And it's just been great to work with this team. And, they really challenged me with questions. And, it was like, well, can't you hire someone to translate for you? Because you have a Spanish language population. And I said, I don't have the resources to hire someone, but can you find me an app? And they did. And they found an app that's, it's got Russian, Chinese, I don't know how many languages are on it, and it's a free app. And so they were really aware of the challenges of height sites, and then also understanding what the audience is and the engagement. And they were really, the new website will roll out by the end of the year. I'm hoping in the fall. Okay. And they were really aware of, you've got to update these colors and you've got to update this look and feel.
But that's important.
And all of that stuff.
And they're of a different generation too, and they have like different, things that they're interested in that gets their attention.
Yes.
And so that feedback is valuable. And I love to hear. Thank you for sharing a sneak peek in one of your new features of the translation. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
To look forward to, and
So
it creates more accessibility.
Yeah. We've had it, but not as good as it's going to be going forward. Yeah,
cool.
which is really exciting too. Yeah, and just updating the colors, the look and feel, the navigation, all of that.
New graphic design.
What's that?
A new graphic design. Really?
It's going to have a new graphic.
Cool.
Yeah. So
branding. It's all about branding.
It's all about branding. So it's really been kind of fun. It's been great to work with this team of young adults. They're just amazing.
Very
just
cool.
Really, really good.
Well, I'm curious, as they're going through and you're revamping things, and you talked about your click rates and your open rates too, is that, as a longtime resident, someone has their finger on the pulse of what's happening culturally within our community. Are there positive or negative trends that you've observed? COVID, I think, is its own beast, but I'll say now, because it's fresh, and also you could say pre-pandemic too. You mentioned that about the click rate, but you made me think about, what trends have you noticed through the targeted audience of the Northern Manhattan community?
Wow. Let me think about this. I think our trends. Because my engagement with the newsletter has gone up so much, I think there's a real interest and care for the local cultural institutions. I think that's really exciting. I think people are more aware that there's, like Inwood Art Works doing this wonderful film festival. And showing a film like The Whale, I think that there's more awareness in the community and support for local artists and arts organizations. I mean, there's always the people that will go downtown.
Sure.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And as you do and as I do,
and people will still do. It's like it's not like they're not going to go downtown to do whatever. But the point is, like, you have to make them. I guess parlaying it into like more of a sub question is like, do you think do you feel like it's trending more positively, that they are more aware of a cultural arts scene up here that really wasn't noticeable before you started doing height sites?
I think it's height sites. I think it's NOMA. I think it's the United Palace. I think it's Inwood Art Works. I think it's just, and there's so many more that I can name. I think it's just, we've just had this explosion of people interested in providing cultural activities for our community. And I think that's, and also kids stuff too.
Yeah.
There's a whole explosion, like you did a kids film last week. There's a whole explosion of kids activities and family activities.
Which is really important. Because
which
the
is
lack of
really
teen
important.
and kids things is always an issue, particularly in the summertime.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really important. I think being a longtime resident here, it's definitely, I mean, I know for my husband and I, we could spend a whole weekend just going to cultural stuff in northern Manhattan.
Wow. And that wasn't like that 20 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's
I think
really impressive.
that's really the change.
Well,
and
thank
that's
you for
really
answering
exciting.
that. That's really exciting.
Yeah,
because I mean, I felt I had the same reaction. That's why our models, our businesses are so alike in the way. It's like the same thing about when I started Inwood Art Works. It's kind of like, well, someone should do something about that up here. It's like, oh,
yeah.
I end up being me. And so, but the point is like, but because of like people like yourself who've taken up, we'll say, the mantle, if you will, to move it forward as your personal mission, and it's become a professional engagement institution for people. I mean, like it or not, Heights Heights is an institution, and I mean that in a favorable way. And so it's become this great great access to. I won't say it's a tastemaker, but it definitely allows. It brings things to the forefront that people would not otherwise know, so they could have those full weekends like you're talking about.
And we, and I really try and find those little unique things that are happening. I just try to be so aware of, there could be some kind of, just a puppet show in a park.
Sure.
Or something like that. Just to stay in touch with just the large things that happen, like at the United Palace or the film festival, and then I don't want to say small, but the little more intimate events that happen in the community too.
But that's great. I mean, because nothing will ever be all comprehensive, all encompassing, because that's just not possible.
Yeah.
But at least they know you have someone, I guess the word's advocating for them in the community for arts and culture. So I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast too, is like saying, like, you have a friend, and Jeanine McAdam.
You do.
James Taylor's song.
Yes,
you
totally have a friend
who's looking for arts and cultural events for you to attend and for your family in the neighborhood.
So, and we have a submission form right on the website. So if you're doing a cultural event, please submit it. And the team is updating the submission form, so it should be easier to submit. So please submit them, submit an engaging picture of what's happening, and we are happy to put it on the website and include it in the newsletter. And I should also add, I have another team of young adults who are doing the social media too.
Great.
So this enables another neurodiverse team of young adults to gain social media skills, another skill for entering the workforce.
And that's a whole other way of engagement. Obviously, we don't really talk about social media because we feel like it's some of a given thing, but it is like, Threads just came out this week, apparently, this new Facebook Meta version of Twitter.
Oh, right.
And so we'll see how that shakes out. But it is about finding ways to engage, and social media is huge with that. And so having someone to be able to monitor that and respond and also collect events is huge.
Yes. And I was doing the social media myself, and it just got to be too much.
It is. It's a lot.
I need help. We had a Twitter account and an Instagram account going too, but now we're just doing a Facebook group.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
just because it's a lot.
It's all about Facebook right now.
Yeah, it's all about Facebook.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, if you'd like to volunteer and help, Jeanine.
Yes.
Where can they reach out to you should they want to know more information about Heights Sites? Obviously, we've already said the website, heightssites.com, but like to get in touch with you should they want to get more involved?
info@heightssites.com.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that information is right at the bottom of the website too.
Okay. So, folks, you have your marching orders. You know, she's doing this all herself, folks. So, whatever you can, and the team she has.
Yes.
So, give her as much help as you can, and make sure you subscribe to HeightSites.com as
And
well.
and I should add, if you have a young adult in your home who wants an internship,
Yes.
it's another way.
They're year-round internships, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah, I
seasonal,
would
so
take,
you
because
can do-
I need help with the social media. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about that we haven't covered?
Yeah, well, I have my notes here.
I was going to say, I see your notepad. So, are we? Let me know what you want to talk about.
Have we covered everything? I think we have. I did want to add that the internship program is with a group called Tech Kids Unlimited.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give them a plug, and they're a wonderful group based downtown.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, again, Jeanine, thank you so much for coming on and being a guest. You've been pushing out the on-air podcast, and now you are one. It's a very
I'm on.
full circle meta moment here in
It
Inwood,
is.
Washington Heights. Well, again, thank you again.
Oh, absolutely! It's wonderful to be here, and thank you.
You bet. You bet. So, folks, this is, once again, Inwood Art Works on Air. It's where we meet the filmmakers, musicians, writers, cultural tastemakers, and artists of all stripes who make their home here in Northern Manhattan. If you have a moment now, please show us some love and rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts. That really does help. Many thanks to the Church of the Good Shepherd here for hosting us, and to, always, HighSites.com for uptown promotional support. And you can support On Air and all of our programming by making a tax-free donation to Inwood Artworks at inwoodartworks.nyc/donate. Be sure to follow us on social media, because we do that, at Inwood Artworks, to keep up all that we do, which includes the Inwood Film Festival, Filmmakers Al Fresco, pop-up art galleries, live performances, and so much more. Inwood Artworks On Air is proud to be supported in part by public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with City Council. And Inwood Artworks programming is made possible by the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature. From the top of Manhattan and the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Aaron Sims for Inwood Artworks On Air.